Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to welcome you all to the Technion's Honorary Doctorate ceremony. My name is Shlomo Meital. I'm a Technion Emeritus Professor from the Davidson Faculty of Industrial Engineering and Management, and I'm greatly honored to be your Master of Ceremonies this afternoon. Would you all please rise to receive the academic procession, please? Thank you. Please, would you all be seated? Excellencies, Right Honorable David Johnston, Governor General of Canada, and Mrs. Sharon Johnston, Professor Peretz Levy, President of the Technion, members of the Canadian delegation and Technion Canada, Ms. Deborah Lyons, Ambassador Designate of Canada, Rafi Barak, Ambassador of Israel in Canada. We welcome also the Archbishop and the head of the Baha'i community and the head of the Ahmadi community. Special guests, members of Technion Management, Technion Council Chairman, members, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special Honorary Doctorate ceremony. To open this festive ceremony, I would like to invite Professor Peretz Levy to offer his greetings.
Thank you, Shlomo. Contempler meliora, to imagine a better world. This is the motto of His Excellency, the Right Honorable David Johnston, Governor General and Commander-in-Chief of Canada, upon whom we have the honor of conferring a Technion Honorary Doctorate today. When I learned that imagining a better world was the Governor General Johnston motto, referring to his belief in the abilities of all Canadians to imagine and create a smarter, more caring nation and contribute to a more just world, I was immediately struck by a memory I carry with me from a visit to the University of Toronto a few years ago. I came to the university during Canadian Memorial Day and attended a ceremony to commemorate Canadian soldiers who had fallen in the battle during the First and Second World Wars. I vividly remember how envious I was when representatives of all three monotheistic religions, a minister, an imam, and a rabbi, addressed the attentive audience. To an Israeli, this was an amazing scene. This demonstration of respectful diversity, mutual tolerance, and shared humanity is precisely what we need to better the world. Vision and leadership are what it takes to imagine it and then tirelessly work to make it into a reality. One central venue through which Governor General Johnston is making the world better is higher education. Governor General Johnston embodies his dedication to the value and importance of lifelong learning. Obtaining his legal education and building his academic career at Harvard, Cambridge, Queen's, Toronto, and Western, he was named Principal and Vice Chancellor of McGill, serving for 15 years before returning to teaching as a full-time professor in the McGill Faculty of Law. He then became the 5th President and Vice Chancellor of the University of Waterloo, our partner for research, serving until 2010 when he was sworn in to serve as Canada's 28th Governor General. He was also a president of the Association of Universities and Colleges of Canada and of the Conference of Rectors and Principals of Quebec Universities. Governor General Johnston is also a believer in collaboration and we at the Technion are blessed to benefit from the sweet fruit of his vision and policies. At present, Technion collaborates with many leading Canadian universities, including Toronto, Waterloo, Calgary, McGill, York, Concordia, and UBC. These important collaborations are a vivid illustration of our valuable partnership with Canada, championed by you, David Johnston. We are proud that our friend society, Technion Canada, established in 1943, is such a significant source of support since the pre-state days and such a meaningful bridge for cooperation between Canada and the Technion. And we are deeply honored to have such a devoted, like-minded friend in Governor General Johnston. A smart nation, says Mr. Johnston, is one that learns from the past, embraces the future, and looks to the world with confidence and respect, while a caring nation recognizes that the measure of any society's success lies in its ability to help others, particularly the vulnerable and marginalized among us. These two values, promoting one's nation to be worth smart caring, are additional, meaningful values we in Israel and Technion share with you, David Johnston. Together with Her Excellency, Sharon Johnston, the Governor General is focusing his mandate on strengthening the pillars of learning and innovation, philanthropy, and volunteerism, and families and children. Families and children are another favorite of ours here in Israel. And we wish Mr. and Mrs. Johnston and their entire personal hockey team, 5 daughters, 13 grandchildren, you two comprise a 20-strong team, right? The best of health and joy together for many, many years to come. His Excellency has inspired and launched major new programs and initiatives, including My Giving Moment and the Governor General's Innovation Awards. He revitalized the Caring Canadian Award Program, which recognizes individuals who volunteer their time to help others and supported the creation of the Sovereign Medal for Volunteers and established the Rideau Hall Foundation as a means of strengthening the institution's ability to serve Canadians through a range of initiatives linked to leadership, education, innovation, and giving. 3 years ago, Israel lost one of its all-time greatest songwriters and performing artists, Arik Einstein. One of Einstein's best-known songs was You and I Will Change the World. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. Just like Governor General Johnston, Einstein called upon us to imagine a better world and then work hard to make it happen. Not to despair when things get tough or fail. We must start again, try harder. We must collaborate, for you and I can indeed change the world. Thank you, Governor General Johnston, for being our partner in changing the world.
Thank you, Professor Levy. Mr. Lawrence Jakir, chairman of our Board of Governors, could not be with us today, unfortunately, but he has sent greetings for me to read on his behalf, so I will do so. Although I cannot be with you today in person, I'm honored to send this message of congratulations to His Excellency, the Right Honorable David Johnston, Governor General and Commander-in-Chief of Canada. The Technion is an academic institution of the highest level, but what makes it unique is the limitless vision and mission to make the world a better place. Those who share this view of the world and take the necessary steps to advance it are true partners and deserving of recognition. Quoting from your bio, Governor General Johnston, your motto, to envisage a better world, refers to your belief in the abilities of Canadians to imagine and create a smarter, more caring nation and contribute to a fairer, more just world. This is consistent with our beliefs here at the Technion, and is a reflection of the kind of a society that we're all striving for. As we venture forward, we're constantly reminded of our duty to educate the future innovators that come from all walks of life and socioeconomic backgrounds. The future is bright for these young people who will go out into the world with solutions for some of the most pressing challenges facing mankind today. As a great leader of Canada, you have similar priorities, and we admire your demonstrated steadfast friendship to our university and the State of Israel. Building bridges between our countries will help create a world of which we can all be proud. On behalf of the Technion family around the world, I sincerely congratulate you, Governor General Johnston, for the brilliant work that has earned you this richly deserved recognition. Your legacy of achievement is an inspiration to countless others, including, of course, everyone on this campus. Thank you. That was the special message sent to us by the Chairman of the Board of Governors, Lawrence Jakir. And now I'm very happy to invite my friend, Gary Goldberg, representing Technion Canada, to say a few words. Gary, will you please come up?
Your Excellencies, Ambassador-designate Lyons, Ambassador Barak, former Israel Ambassador to Canada, Miriam Ziv, deans, distinguished faculty, friends, welcome. As they say in Hebrew, Bruchim Habayim, which translates to mean, blessed are those who come to this place. In recognition of the Honorary Doctorate degree that will be conferred on His Excellency, the Right Honorable David Johnston, Governor General of Canada, I'd like to share just three thoughts. The first is to recognize that this academic honor, which will be bestowed on His Excellency today, places this graduate in a stellar cohort. Among the Technion's honorary doctors that have, there have been very few that were vice-regal heads of state, presidents, or prime ministers. In fact, it's a very short list. There were three: United Kingdom Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, German President Dr. Johannes Rau, and Côte d'Ivoire President Houphouët-Boigny. President Levy has described today's graduate's remarkable CV. He has served as president of two of Canada's most respected universities, McGill and University of Waterloo, for a total of 27 years. I think he liked the job. He did a great job. He also was the first non-American to serve as the chair of Harvard University's Board of Governors. He has, in total, 25 honorary degrees from universities in China, India, and of course, Canada. And we're very honored that you're here today to receive one from Technion-Israel Institute of Technology. So this indicates that His Excellency is a man of diplomas, but he literally is a man of letters as well, having proceeded through the academic ranks as a professor, dean, obviously university president, and then now holding the most esteemed office in our country of Canada. He also wrote a very interesting book that was published recently called The Idea of Canada, Letters to a Nation. And in the academic sense of letters, our graduate wakes up every morning and writes letters to people in all walks of life in Canada. And for those of you, I'll ensure a few copies of this book are sent to President Levy so people can appreciate this special book. And now President Levy mentioned before about the motto of the Governor General, Contemplare Meliora, to envisage a better world. But at Technion, they often use the word Imagineer. So I think that if we can translate your motto into a more practical term, that may be useful. His Excellency's impressive and exemplary career has continuously been linked to the pursuit of excellence in leadership, citizenship, education, innovation, and giving. That all describes the person, David Johnston, who will be graduating today with the Honorary Doctorate. Technion Canada is very proud to be represented, at this ceremony, and is eager to support Canada-Israel initiatives that hopefully will evolve from the Governor General's current mission, as well as to support the ongoing and growing bilateral cooperations between Technion and numerous universities in Canada, which have been cited before by the President. These involve collaborations at the level of both research and exchange. In closing, I would just like to share a few thoughts from Pirkei Avot, the sayings of the fathers, which are a set of rabbinical teachings. Our graduand is a man of faith. And since we're here in a place of learning in the Holy Land, in fact, the first university to be built in the land of Israel, its cornerstone was laid more than 100 years ago, these maxims reflect the values of David Johnston, the person, and of course, as His Excellency, the Governor General of Canada. So I would like to share these four. On three things the world stands: on Torah, which is study and learning; on Avodah, which is work and diligence; and on Gimut Chasadim, acts of kindness. The second one is, who is wise? He who learns from every man. As it is written in Psalms, from all my teachers I gain understanding. This one is, I think, for anyone who's shared time with His Excellency can appreciate why I chose this one. Make study a fixed practice. Say little and do much. Greet every person with a cheerful countenance. And the last maxim that I'd like to share, because it involves three crowns, and the crest of McGill has three crowns, and His Excellency was president of McGill for, I guess, 16 or 17 years. So it's the three crowns. It says there are three crowns: the crown of the Torah of Scripture, the crown of the priesthood, which means the people who impart that knowledge, and the crown of kingship. But the crown of a good name surpasses them all. Your Excellency, congratulations, Mazel Tov, and you know what Mazel Tov is, and Kol HaKavod, which translates all the honor, which is what today you're being given by the Technion.
Thank you very much, Gary Goldberg. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our musical interlude. So I'm delighted to invite our performers for this afternoon to come forward. And they are Daria Gelfand. Daria is an undergraduate student at the Wolfson Faculty of Chemical Engineering. As you will soon hear, she has a gifted voice, and she really knows how to sing, not just in her lab. And she's accompanied by top Israeli musicians, pianist and arranger Tomer Mizamer, perfect name for a musician, and wind instrumentalist Amiram Granot. The first piece they'll perform is a classic Hebrew song, Echalil, the flute, and this will be followed by a well-known Canadian song by one of the most famous musicians in the world, Leonard Cohen, who's greatly loved here in Israel, all over. Canadian singer, songwriter, poet, novelist, and Your Excellency, we'd like to dedicate the iconic song Hallelujah to you. Please.
פשוט ועדין וקולו כמו קול של הלב החליל כשכשוך הפלגים כמו שיר ילדים כמשק הרוחות בפרדס מרבלב החליל 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 לאחי הקטן, מנגינת החליל להרים להרים, החליל המקשיב לא יודע, ידע היטב, הוא יאיר את הדמי, הוא ירבנו בצליל, כמשק הרוחות בפרדס מלבלב, החליל, החליל. שמעתי שדוד אני הכל פלאים לאלוהים, ושאתה שונא תווים ידוע, הקור דגום ומסתורי, אינו נופל מז'ור ממריא, ומלך מבולבל שר הללויה, 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 hallelujah. Your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty in the moonlight overthrew ya. She tied you to a kitchen chair, she broke your throne, she cut your hair, and from your lips she drew the hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Maybe there's a God above, and all I've ever learned from love was how to shoot somebody who outdrew you. And it's not a cry that you hear at night, it's not somebody who's seen the light, it's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Thank you very, very much, Daria, Tomer, and Amiram. That was wonderful. And now, to the conferment of the Honorary Doctorate degree, I'd like to call upon Gidon Frank, Chairman of the Council, to read the certificate.
הטכניון, מכון טכנולוגי לישראל, הקורטוריון של הטכניון, מכון טכנולוגי לישראל, בתוקף סמכויותיו המוענקות לו על ידי חוקת המוסד, ובהתאם להחלטת הוועד המנהל ביום ב' בשבט, שנת 5776, שהוא היום ה-12 בחודש ינואר 2016, ועל דעת הסנאט, מעניק בזאת לדייוויד ג'ונסטון את התואר דוקטור לשם כבוד. כהוקרה על תרומתך לקידום המחקר והחינוך האקדמי בקנדה, ומתוך הערכה לפעילותך הציבורית ארוכת השנים בנושאים שונים בתחומי כלכלה, חברה וסביבה בקנדה. בהערכה על פועלך לקידום קשרים אקדמיים בין האוניברסיטאות בקנדה לאוניברסיטאות במקומות שונים בעולם, ובמיוחד על תמיכתך הרבה בכינון שיתופי פעולה אקדמיים בין ישראל לקנדה, וברגשי תודה על יחסך החם והאוהד לקהילה היהודית בקנדה ולמדינת ישראל, ניתן בחיפה בבית בחשוון שנת 5777, שהוא היום השלישי בחודש נובמבר שנת 2016, בשנה ה-69 למדינת ישראל, על החתום פרופסור פרץ לוי, נשיא הטכניון, לורנס ז'קיר, יושב ראש הקורטוריון, גדעון פרנק, יושב ראש הוועד המנהל. The Technion-Israel Institute of Technology, the Board of Governors of the Technion, by virtue of the authority granted to it by the Constitution of the Institute, in accordance with the decision made by the Council on the second day of Shvat, 5776, the 12th day of January 2016, and with the approval of the Senate, hereby confers upon David Johnston the degree of Doctor Honoris Causa in recognition of your contribution to the advancement of academic research and education in Canada, and in tribute to your long-standing public activities, including the realm of economy, society, and the environment in Canada, with gratitude for your promotion of academic relations between Canadian universities and universities around the world, and especially for your steadfast support towards establishing academic cooperation between Israel and Canada, and with a gratitude for your warm and supportive relationship with the Jewish community in Canada and with the State of Israel. Given in Haifa on the second day of Cheshvan, 5777, the third day of November 2016, in the 69th year of the independence of the State of Israel, signed by Professor Perez Levy, President, Lawrence Jakir, Chairman of the Board, Gidon Frank, Chairman of the Council.
Thank you very much, Gidon. Now I'd like to invite the President of the Technion, Professor Levy, and Professor Ben-Zion Levy to place the hood and then to present the scroll. Please rise, Right Honorable David Johnston. Please be seated. And I have the honor now to invite His Excellency, the Right Honorable David Johnston, to respond.
Well, thank you so much. Let me first say about the music that we've just heard, it brings back to mind the psalm, "Make a joyful noise unto the Lord." And wasn't that a joyful noise? And to Gary and to Peretz, my friends, for their ever so eloquent and especially generous introductions. Let me say this, I'm a man of faith, and as I heard those two introductions, I felt the need to pray to the Lord. First, for my friends for taking such liberty with the truth. And secondly, for myself, because I enjoyed it so much. It's a good thing we don't wear mortarboard hats in this ceremony. Mine would have split. Gary, as to the 27 years as a university president, my wife has a little different view of that serving of time. She was once asked by a reporter, "Please explain your husband's success." And she said, "Would you repeat the question, please?" "Oh, success." Well, the reporter said, "Well, 27 years as a university president, he must have been doing some things right." "Ah," she said, "all you need to last as long as my husband has in that job is to be totally lacking in a sense of humor, and he's perfect for the job." Just a remark on one of the lovely thoughts, Peretz, in your introduction. You referred to our Memorial Remembrance Day, where, yes, we have the representatives of three great religions, the Abrahamic religions, who give the blessing for our men and women who have sacrificed so much. I recall another story. As you may know, Canada has been very welcoming to Syrian refugees. 35,000 have entered our country in the last 12 months, and there will be more. It's been an initiative of our government, but even more so, it's been a very widespread initiative of people in their communities at the grassroots, quite apart from government matters. And it actually fills your heart when you see how widespread and deep this welcoming is. So we have had a series of conferences or summits celebrating some of these great ordinary Canadians. We're in the town of Oakville about 6 months ago. There were 500 people gathered in the community hall, all of whom have been involved in one way or another as being sponsoring groups for the refugees and welcoming them. And there was an opening prayer given by 4 people. It was a Roman Catholic priest, a Protestant Anglican minister, a Jewish rabbi, and an imam from the mosque. And when they finished the blessing, I said, "I want to tell you something about these 4 people from whom you have just heard." Their congregations together has sponsored 6 or 7 Syrian families. They could have done it individually, the mosque looking after a family, the synagogue looking after a family, the Protestant church a family, the Roman, but they brought their congregations together, and they did it as a common effort. And that speaks very well for the kind of response to such a human tragedy and trying to make the very best of it. Let me say how wonderful it is to return to the Technion-Israel Institute of Technology here in Haifa to be with you all today. And thank you for honoring me with this doctorate. Let me say I accept it on behalf of the people of Canada, because this is such a gesture of friendship from your great university in your marvelous country to all Canadians. I thank you and very humbled by it. Je suis vraiment. Nous avons deux langues officielles au Canada. We have 2 languages. Je suis vraiment touché et honoré de recevoir ce doctorat honorifique. Merci de cette reconnaissance. I'm so very proud of the innovation links that exist between Canada and Israel, and it's of long standing, this admiration. It was a privilege for me to be part of this relationship during my time both at Waterloo and McGill University, and I have so many great memories of collaboration and good things that come. I'm also very pleased to be the first Governor General of Canada to lead a state visit to Israel. And we're here with a delegation of outstanding Canadians who share our goal of strengthening the multifaceted connection between our 2 countries. You'll find very rare in the world where there is as multifaceted and as rich and productive a relationship between 2 countries as there is between Canada and Israel. It truly is exceptional, with economic, cultural, scientific, political, strategic dimensions, but all of which are deeply grounded in people-to-people ties. And of course, on that foundation, especially good things occur. Nous avons une relation basée sur l'économie, la culture, la science et sur les liens entre nos peuples. And increasingly, our partnership is being defined by innovation. And as Peretz has said, among my priorities as Governor General. And of course, it's not only a priority here at Technion, c'est votre raison d'être, it's your reason for being. Let me add another important area of common ground, diversity, about which we spoke a few moments ago with an absolutely splendid panel of 4 students who've been part of your special program to include diversity and expand equality of opportunity. This discussion explored the intersection of diversity and innovation, and this is what I wish to explore in my remarks today, and then to highlight the Canada-Israel opportunity that lies before us. So I'll cover 3 points. 1, how diversity and innovation reinforce each other. 2, Israel and Canada's specific strengths. And 3, how we can benefit from even greater partnership. Let me start with this. I believe the future belongs to those who embrace diversity and build cultures of innovation with global reach. Innovation, in my view, is an economic and a social process, a means by which productivity is improved and better ways of organizing and operating are achieved as a society. It's about developing new ways of doing things and creating value. And it's technological, it's business, and it's social. The pace of change and the many challenges facing our world are proof positive. We need new ways of doing things, and we need to gear our economies towards creating value. Simply put, if change is the new constant, innovation is the new imperative. You're well aware of this, so I won't belabor, but what about diversity? Well, in a rapidly changing, interconnected world, diversity is a great strength. Think of the competition for talent alone. It has gone global. As others have pointed out, teenagers in Africa with smartphones and the internet have more information at their fingertips than the President of the United States did 15 years ago. And it's very interesting that people think differently. Attending the lecture a week or so ago by one of our technological leaders who say our children and grandchildren are wired differently than we are. We, in generations previously, developed a capacity in our brain to collect and to store facts, and then to bring those facts forward in some assembled way to respond to a particular question. And stuffing as many fact or factoids into the mind was a very important process of how we think and how we operate in cognitive ways. Well, of course, our children, my grandchildren, don't worry very much about stuffing facts into their head. They have thousandfold more facts available at their fingertips. What they do, of course, is to develop new connecting routes to that information out there, that data out there, so they move it from data to information to knowledge, and you hope with a little bit of wisdom. And it's a new way of thinking. It's a new way of channeling how things transpire and mature in our mind. And that has much to say with how we educate our children. And one of the things that helps in this new approach is the aspects of diversity which create creativity. Digital technology and the advent of the global village mean we're no longer confined to looking within our community or our nation state when it comes to learning or seeking talent. And those countries and institutions that are diverse and outward looking will have a natural advantage when seeking both talent and markets abroad. Just think, for example, how a diverse population can help us gain access to global markets and talent. Think of the talent pool we can begin to draw on when our population speaks more than 200 languages and claims more than 200 ethnic origins, as does Canada's. Of course, diversity is viewed as a strength at Technion. It's a microcosm of diversity, and it's also the epicenter of Israel's start-up nation mentality. There's a strong intersection of diversity and innovation here, which no doubt helps to explain your outstanding global success. This brings you to my second point, the specific strengths of Israel and Canada. I've already mentioned this university's remarkable success as an innovator. Israel as a nation can claim the same. For nearly 70 years, Israelis have shown the world they can compete with the very best. Israel became an innovator and a startup nation out of sheer necessity. Israelis needed food, so they turned arid land into farmable land. Israelis needed fresh water, so they developed the world's best practices in water conservation, recycling, and recreating. Israel's needed a new way to compete, so they developed a rich research and development capacity that is the envy of many countries around the world. I could go on. Let me just add that Israel also understands acutely the need to plug into the world as a learning and innovating nation. These are exceptional strengths from which Canada and many others can learn. Nous pouvons beaucoup apprendre d'Israël et aussi partager nos apprentissages. Quelles sont les forces du Canada? Il y en a beaucoup. Comme je l'ai dit, le Canada est une société très diversifiée et prospère. Nous sommes aussi en voie de bâtir une culture solide fondée sur l'apprentissage et l'innovation. I was fortunate to be a part of a unique innovation ecosystem in Waterloo Region, which hosts one of Canada's top universities, which for the last 25 years has been ranked as Canada's most innovative university by the Maclean's Magazine survey. It hosts one of Canada's top universities for engineering, science, and entrepreneurship. The region is now linked with metropolitan Toronto, Canada's largest city with a population that is three-quarters that of Israel, to create a 200-kilometer-long innovation corridor. These are exciting times for the region, which aspires to transform itself into an innovation hub on par with the world's best. We have a long way to go, but we're making great progress on both diversity and innovation. One example, there are 30 students enrolled in the master's program at the Perimeter Institute for Theoretical Physics in Waterloo. Fully 21 nationalities from around the world are represented. And consider that for a moment, 30 students, 21 nationalities, and consider the diversity and richness of that learning environment. And as an aside, I should point out that Britain's Duncan Haldane, who holds a visiting research chair at the Perimeter Institute, was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics last month for his work on exotic phases of matter. That institute has been in existence now just for 11 years, and it's remarkable to see its achievements and the Nobel Prize being the latest. If you haven't heard the news, this is what Canada is striving for, to be a beacon of learning for talent around the world. Canada punches above its weight when it comes to winning the world's top research prizes. Last year, 24 Canadians won prestigious awards, including Art MacDonald, winner of the 2015 Nobel Prize in Physics, and James Arthur, winner of the Wolf Prize in Mathematics, which is, of course, awarded by Israel's Wolf Foundation. Canadians are also strong international collaborators. Nearly half of academic science and engineering articles by Canadians were international co-publications. That means for the authors listed on the publication, at least one was from outside Canada. This is such an important part of a small country like ours expanding its reach by associating with other like-minded people in other corners of the world, and in particular in Israel. Canada enjoys star power when it comes to top talent and above average on research citation counts alone. There are a number of linkages that are really very important with Canadian universities, and your president has mentioned some of them with the University of Waterloo. And when I think of these images, I think of these linkages, I think of the image of the brightest minds from Israel and Canada meeting in the Rocky Mountains to share what they're discovering about one of nature's most wondrous creations, the human brain. There's so many examples of this kind of learning collaboration that are taking place between us. So, the third question, where do we go from here? I believe Canada and Israel should and must form a deeper and even more dynamic innovation relationship. Think about our shared potentials as small countries that think big. And when I say small, I'm talking population, of course. Canada measures almost 10 million square kilometers in size and has the largest coastline in the world. Smaller countries such as Canada and Israel have a central role to play in fostering innovation. Harold Innes, one of Canada's most original and influential thinkers, suggested new ideas and technologies are more likely to take root in so-called marginal regions where the status quo is less entrenched. And I must just pass on, I had the enormous privilege of laying a wreath on the grave of Shimon Peres yesterday. My last meeting with your great president was in Ottawa when he was there on a state visit. And the last thing we did was we co-hosted a panel, scientific group on, guess what, innovation. And it was explained to us several days ago when one of the directors of the institute that bear his name was explaining his own view of how innovation is so natural to the Israeli people. And he said there were three reasons for it. One is by necessity. Innovation, necessity is the mother of invention and innovation, and it certainly is true here. The second, he says, is immigration, with wave upon wave of people bringing their new energy and enthusiasm and a firm desire that life shall be better for their children, plus the diversity that those waves of generation have created. And the third was, he put it as a lack of discipline in the Israeli people. I remember Mr. Perez saying to me in a discussion on the same thing, he says, the reason the Israeli people are so creative is because they're so discontented. I interpret that very differently. I would call it the spirit of spontaneity that is at the root of the people of Israel. And that spontaneity, that willingness to think differently, to step in a different direction, has served you very, very well. And I think of the influence of the Renaissance Florence on the future course of Western civilization, a very small group of people, 30,000 people, who were the cradle of the Renaissance, and they did so with this great notion of discontent, of spontaneity and diversity. I sometimes think of our potential of being analogous to that of Athens in classical times. Canada and Israel can both be nations that export ideas, learning, democratic values, innovation, talent, and culture, and in turns be eagerly receptive to contributions and ideas from beyond our borders. We will be the Athens to the new Romes. And sovereignty of a nation in the future will be measured not so much by the size of its GDP or even by the armadas of ships or others that they can mount, but how well they develop the talent of all of their people and use the knowledge that flows from that talent to improve the human condition. What's interesting about our context now is our increased ability to work together to achieve this goal. So let's go further in our partnerships and extend the limits of our collaboration. As the saying goes, the most effective form of knowledge transfer is a good pair of shoes, especially if you wear them out in exchanges, internships, partnerships. What other modes of cooperation can we develop? How do we collaborate further? How do we become leading practitioners of knowledge diplomacy? The basic principle for success in the world today is that the well-being of one nation or community depends to a large extent on that of others. This is what it means to live in a global village. Let us take our cues from ecology in recognizing how interdependent we are as members of a global community. So it's up to us to find new ways to share knowledge and work together for mutual benefit. Let's take full advantage of the opportunities open to us. Scientists, researchers, teachers, students, innovators, entrepreneurs, business leaders, all can benefit from deeper collaboration between Canada and Israel. And what better two countries than to be the leaders in this respect? Our challenge is simply this, to take a great foundation and build something even better. Contemplare melior. Il nous faut des bases solides pour bâtir un monde meilleur. Thank you again for this great honor, which I will so cherish in the years to come. I wish you the very best. Merci.
Thank you very much indeed, Governor General Johnston, for your moving and memorable words. Again, I'd like to express our deepest appreciation to you for your support and friendship with the Technion and the State of Israel. And I might just mention, Governor General Johnston, I myself was born and raised in Saskatchewan and studied at Queen's. I owe a great personal debt to Canada, and my country, Israel, owes much to Canada because you are one of our staunchest supporters. This marks the end of our ceremony. May I ask the audience to please rise and remain by your seats as the Presidium and the honoree leave the auditorium.